Well, welcome everybody to Tapping the Arkansas Paranormal Network, coming to you from Bambury, Arkansas. I am your host, Wayne Newman, and I want to thank everybody out there that's joining me and on the Facebook page. I hope everybody can hear me and see me on the Facebook. Trying out a new little camera I got, and hopefully it's going to be a good little deal. If this computer will run both of them, we'll be doing great. Uh, so, anyway, we I thought about talking about the demon monster Krumps and where the Krumps legend had came from and all that. I usually do this around the holidays. Normally I do it more around Christmas time than Thanksgiving time, but you never know what's going to be going on around Christmas and all that. So, we are going to do this and tonight and talk about a little bit about the crumbs. So, hope everybody can still hear me and in both directions. See, Angela there is in the chat room, and I want to thank her for joining me there as well. And hopefully go to the radio broadcast. And I hope everybody can hear me on the radio. This is a new format. I've tried it before. It sounded good, and so I'm keeping it up. All right. So I hope everybody's had a good weekend, and hopefully this will work out more than anything on this format. So everybody on Facebook out there, if you can hear me, give me the thumbs up. That way I can know that y'all can and see, or I know you can see me because I've got a live video going. So, but I need to know if anybody can hear me out there on the Facebook. But anyway, like I said, normally I do the crumb special around Christmas time because it's more of a, well, I can't say Christmas thing, but it has pretensions to do Christmas stuff on with it. But anyway, all right. Hope we get more viewers on the Facebook. So, all right. This is according to Wikipedia, uh, Krumpus, and we'll see how far I can get on that. It's not a real long one. A lot of good pictures though. Of course, a lot of people have seen the movie Krumpus, made several years ago, and so I don't know how close that this is to that, but we'll see. Um, in the Central European folklore, Krampus is an armored figure described as half goat, half demon, and who during the Christmas season punishes children who have misbehaved, in contrast of Saint Nicholas, who rewards the well behavior with gifts. Krumpus is one of the as a component of a Saint Nicholas is several regions, including Australia, Czech Republic, Hungary, North Italy, including South Tyrol and the province of Trenton. Slovakia, I can't talk, it's German. And then the original of the figure is unclear. Some folklore and enthusiasts have said it has having a pre-Christian origin. In a tradition, parades, and in such events of the English Krumpus run, young men dressed in Krumpus participating such events according to usual in the most alpine towns. Krumpus is featuring on a holiday greeting cards called Krumpuskine. If you haven't seen none of these traditions that these people have, you need to go into them and look at them. I mean, they could really go into their details in their costumes. I mean, the masks that they have on, the mask and horns that they have on are actual wood that a guy makes, and special for each person. And there's a bunch of them that goes to that participates in these parades and whatever they have, and sometimes it lasts for hours. It's just like a tradition. And the Christmas parade, they come first, then the Christmas parade come, I guess. I don't know. Maybe this is all they celebrate. The history of the Krumpus has been theorized and stretched back to pre-Christian Alpine tradition. In the belief the article discussed in the figure published in 1958, Marcy Bruce wrote, there seems to be a little doubt as to his true identity, for no other form is a full of armed goat, of which is so well preserved in Brents, apart from the Phillips scientific method, may have a connection with the tradition rites of center, which Cohen's rites, which enthusiasts building a mask and their outfit's so, I mean, I don't know if it's real fur. It looks like it. I don't know. Anyway, rights which enthusiasts bindings, they wear chains, and it sounds like bells. And I've seen some of these costumes that they call chains and bells. Some of them put bells on their costumes, and when they go down the road, they kind of bounce. They go ting, ching, ching, and it sounds pretty. It's pretty neat. The St. Nicholas Festival we were describing culture element wide distributed European, in some case going back to the pre-Christian time. Nicholas and Silva became popular in Germany around the 11th century. The feast dedicated to the portion of children is only one winter occurrence in which children are the objects of special attention, other being the fest of the holiday innocence and the New Year's. Masked devils acting and marking the stories of themselves are known as Germans since the 16th century, while animals, masked devils, combining Deadpool comic appeared in a medieval church plays large much of the European folklore. The Krumpus figures persist in the 17th century as Krumpus has been and occupied into the Christian winter celebration by pairing Krumpus with the Saint Nicholas. Countries of the foreign empire have allegedly borrowed their tradition from Krumpus, accompanying Saint Nicholas on December the 5th from Australia. Recent years in the myth of the Krumpus was the son of Hel, Norse goodness of the underworld, has been popularized on the internet, even appearing in articles of National Geographic magazine. However, the connection is likely the inverted of the American fantasy artist of author Brom, B-R-O-M, that's his last name, whose 2012 novel Krumpus, the Yellow Lord, features Krumpus as the man poltergeist. The same idea appears shortly afterwards in an online game by the New Game Products Funcom. In the aftermath of the 1923 election of Australia, the Krumpus tradition was prohibited by the under of the Fatherland Front and the Christian Social Party. In 1950, the government prohibits Tito Krumpus as an evil man. Toward the end of the century, the popular Krumpus celebration occurred and continues today. The Krumpus tradition said our beginning revealed in Bonneville, as well as long as the local artist tradition of hands carved wooden masks. That's where those wooden masks come from. That's pretty cool. So most of the Krumpus that you hear about, or back then, was that the Krumpus would come before Christmas and gather all the evil children, or the children who's misbehaved, and take them away and make them, well, I guess they make them Krumpus, and they won't come back. And anyway, so Saint Nicholas wouldn't have to worry about good and bad, I guess. More around to it anyway. It's really hard to find a lot of information on the Krumpus because of it's just I mean, it took me forever to find anything about them. So like I said, it's very interesting to see these people's costumes. You hadn't seen them. You really need to go look at some of the videos that they got of these costumes that these people are are wearing and stuff. It's just amazing. Of course, they got the Krumpus movie. So you can find all kinds of pictures of these things. It's hard to find anything about more about them. Wikipedia is about the only one that really says anything. As I look around, trying to find more. Well, let's see here. Go back into archives here that I've got, and maybe I can bring up something else to read about here. Let's see. All right. I see. Well, we'll go from the Krumpus to the Mothman. In West Virginia folklore, the Mothman is a legend of a creature reportedly seen in the Point Pleasant area from November 12, 1966 to December 15, 1967. The first newspaper report of the published in the Point Pleasant Registry dated November 16, 1966, titled "Couples See Man-Sized Bird Creature." Something the national press soon picked up and reported and helped spread the story across the United States. The Mothman was introduced to the wider audience by Gary Barker in 1970, and later popularized by John Keel in his 1975 book, The Mothman Prophecies, claiming that there are supernatural events related to the sightings and the connections to the collapse of the Silver Bridge. The Mothman is subject of regional folklore and popular culture. The 2002 film Mothman Prophecies, wow, starring Richard Gere, was based on Neil book. An annual festival in Point Pleasant is devoted to the Mothman legend. And see here. On November the 12th, 1966, 5 men who were digging a grave at the cemetery near Clayton, West Virginia, claimed to see a man-like figure flying low from the trees over their heads. This is often identified as the first known sighting of what we've known as the Mothman. Shortly thereafter, on November 15th, 1966, 2 young couples from Point Pleasant, Roger and Linda Scarberry, and Steve and Mary Mullet, told police they saw a large gray creature whose eyes glow red when the car lights picked it up. They described it as a large flying man with 10-foot wings, followed their car while they were driving in the area outside of town as the TNT area. The site of a former World War II plane. During the next few days, the other people report similar sightings. 2 volunteer firefighters who sighted it and said it was a large bird with red eyes. Mason County Sheriff George Johnson commented that he believed the sightings were due to an unusual large heron he's attempted to poke at. Contract Neil Patridge told Johnson that when he aimed a flashlight at the creature in the nearby field, his eyes glowed like bicycle reflectors, and blamed buzzing noises from his television set and then disappearance of the German Shepherd dog on the creature's wildlife biologist Dr. Robert L. Smith at West Virginia University told reporters that the descriptions of the sighting all fits the sandhill crane, a large American crane almost as high as a man with 7-foot wingspan, featuring circles of redness coloring around the eyes, and the bird may have wandered out of its migration route. Particular crane was unrecognized at first because it was not native to the region. After December the 15th, 1967, collapse of the Silver Bridge and the death of 46 people, the incident gave rise to the legend of connected to the Mothman sighting to the bridge collapse. In 2016, WCHS TV published a photo of to be a Mothman taken by an anonymous man while driving on Route 2. Scientist writer Sharon A. Hill proposed that the photo showed a bird, perhaps an owl, carrying a frog or snake away, and wrote that there is zero reason to suspect that the Mothman is described as a legend. There are too many far more reasonable explanations. John Harrell Burnwood noted that the Mothman has been widely covered in the popular press. Some sightings connected to the UFO, and other claiming that the military storage site was a Mothman home. The Mothman's home. Burnwood noted that the reoccurring of the 1966 through 67 Mothman report usually state that the folklore at least 100 people saw Mothman, with many more afraid to report the sightings, but observed that written source of such stories consist of children's book or undocumented accounts to file to the record, quote, identifying persons found a limited of common among many Mothman reports. Much older folk tales suggest that the sometimes the real may have triggered the scare of and became woven with existence folklore. He also recorded tales from the Mothman supposedly attacked the roof of parked cars inhabited by teenagers. Some UFOlogists, paranormal authors, and cryptozoologists claim that the Mothman was an alien, a supernatural manifestation, or a previously unknown species of animal. In his 1975 book, The Mothman Prophecies, author John Neal claimed that the Point Pleasant residents experienced including of the collapse of the Silver Bridge, unidentifying flying object, or UFO, sightings. Visitors of the inhuman and threatening men in black and other phenomenon. Skeptic Joe Nickel say that the numbers of the hoax following by the public generated by the original reports, such as a group of construction workers who tried flashlights to illuminate to helium balloons. Nickel authored the Mothman report that the pranks plans and sightings of the barn owl, albino owl, suggest that the Mothman's glowing eyes were actually red eye affected, caused from the reflection of the light of the flashlight or other bright light source in the area lies outside the snowy owl unusual range. Point Pleasant held the first annual Mothman of festival in 2002, and a 12-foot tall metallic statue of the creature by the artist Bob Roach was unveiled in 2003. The Mothman Museum of Research Center, opening 2015. It is running by Jeff Wimsley. The festival is a weekend-long event held in the third weekend of every September. We all missed it. Sorry. There are a variety of events that go on during the festival, such as guest speakers, vendors, and the Mothman pancake eating contest, and a hybrid tour focused on the knowable area of the Point Pleasant. And there you have the Mothman. All right. See, people keep seeing the Mothman in Chicago. Did you know that? Woohoo. Okay, well, you do now. It was a normal summer night. John, working on Friday shift security from Chicago, Portland, popular Logan Square hangout. The owl, but when we went outside, he saw something odd. He saw a plane flying, but also something moving really awkward under it, he told Vice. It did not look like a bat, such as what illustrations of the periodic looked like. It was a slender of its head, and it was wings shaped. I know what birds and bats look like. This thing didn't have any feathers or fur, and it didn't fly like anything I ever seen. added that the thing he saw, which according to him had muscular legs, a jetting tailbone, and a human-like shape, flew at a strange swooping motions, undulating up and down. After it flew away, he retrieved his phone from charging in the bar and texted his girlfriend and close friends what he had happened. I remember thinking this was the worst time in the world I have my phone on charge. He laughed and saw that night was one of 55 reports Chicago area sightings of a flying humanoid in 2017, according to the variety from a large black bat-like being with glowing red eyes to a big owl or something that resembles a gothic gargoyle or a mothman. Most eyewitnesses spotted the being in flight, but some, particularly distributing reports, detailed of dropping onto hoods of cars, peering through the windows and swooping down and at bystanders. All alleged Mothman has captured an attention of the city for local media articles and rap songs, to Halloween costumes, countless Facebook groups. Later, Amatron, what was his name? John. What do you call him? John. John later remembers seeing something on Facebook about sightings, and then he had read more about it. He contacted Lon Stickler, and self-described fortune researcher who's been compiling all of the Chicago sightings on his website, Phantom and Monsters. Stickler's, who wrote Mothman Dynasty, Chicago's Winged Humanoid, was released last month. Well, it wouldn't be last month, but not for us, right? Has been investigating paranormal sightings since the late 1970s and claimed to have seen both a Mothman and a Bigfoot since the rash of the sightings started in February. He has been interviewing witnesses and documenting their accounts, according to Stickler. These Chicago sightings are unlike anything he has seen in his decade investigation alleged flying humanoid sightings. This group of sightings is historical in cryptozoology terms. For one, it has happened in a urban area for the most part, in that there are so many sightings in one period. He added that he believes there are at least 3 flying humanoids around Chicago due to a variety of locations. The concentration of sightings in certain neighborhoods and a small differences in the eyewitnesses' testimony, the main reference point Stickler uses for an example of this phenomenon was the wave of the report Mothman sighting in Point Pleasant, West Virginia from 1966 to 1967. There were several reports of a large man-like bird, glowing red eyes. Local folklore folklore later tried the Mothman, a monster, to a bad omen connection with a triangle bridge, or the tragedy bridge collapse in 1967. The sightings were popularized by John Neal in 1975 novel The Mothman Prophecies, which was later adopted in a 2003 film. Richard Gere and Laura Langley. And since 2002, the town has the Mothman sighting, which is an annual festival. Stickler doesn't believe that the Chicagoans have been seeing a harbinger or of a bad thing of a calm, being of the less aggressive than the Point Pleasant. From the most part, I believe overall there was only one being in the Point Pleasant area, and that was seen during the Point period. While he has not sure why Chicagoans are seeing what they are seeing, he theorized, I think they are flesh and blood beings. They aren't of this world. Dr. David A. Gallo is a psychologist from the University of Chicago who researches deals with memory, specifically how active and sometimes incredible reconstructions in the past, studying why people believe are rare skeptics of paranormal psychic phenomenons. A fan of the Mothman prophecies, he offered his own explanation of what happenings in Chicago. It's a selective sample. When people are choosing to report sightings, they base it off data upon your phenomenon research area, collecting all the self-reports, and he says over the phone calls. He's not sampling random people and asking if they saw the Mothman. He's just counting the numbers of people that voluntarily come forward to report a sighting, according to Gallo. The people more likely to visit a paranormal website like Stickler might also be more included to believe in, and therefore witnesses the existing of the Mothman. Ideas about the supernatural can be cultivating, transmitted, and social transmitted when a UFO are reported in the media or represented in a popular culture. More sightings happen. I have heard it called the Will Smith effect. Wow. But Stickler doesn't buy that explanation. We have had very few cranks from it, I can tell. Which I can think is pretty useful. If the media would have picked up on it more than it has, I think that it would have had more fraudulent sightings. So many things could be different in the factor of why there's such being big uptake of these sightings. Gallo started adding to that he doesn't deny that the witnesses saw something out of the ordinary. There are phenomena where they are basically some real witnesses' experiences, but there are a host of gaps in the original experience. Sometimes the mind is unusual to fill the gap. Because of these, Gallo's warned, if something is suggested to be there, subsequently, as a publicized like the Mothman or whatever, the person might be inclined to fill in the gap with that. While Gallo theories from why people have been seeing this flying humanoid might help soothe the nervousness of the Chicagoans after after to look up at the skies, John still believed he saw something that night. The reason I said something in the first place is that nobody wants to say anything because they don't want to be perceived as a crackpot or a crazy person. That doesn't mean that this thing does not happen. Well, that was another one on the Mothman. We all heard of the Loch Ness monster, the Bigfoot, but they are not the only mysterious beings alleged living on the middest, deepest into the animal of cryptozoologists. As a creature first reported nearly 50 years ago, his appearance is said by some of the horrible disasters of a strange and terrifying Mothman. Of course, all this goes over and over and tells the same thing. Just different stories, different way they say it or write it or whatever. It's just the same thing. All right. Well, there you have it. Well, thank everybody for joining me tonight. This was a kind of a short segment. Now, just kind of trying different things out. Normally, I would have had a 8 o'clock show, but I was still working on the computers and stuff, trying to put this together and put that together and make things work. And so, anyway, I want to say hello to Tanya Cover. I'm glad you're joining me on the radio, or on the Facebook deal, not the radio. Hopefully you can jump over there on the radio deal. And see Tammy is also on there, or has been on there. I don't know if she's still on there or not. So I'm glad y'all are joining me there. And Angela, I don't know if she's still there or not. I'm glad she has joined me on the radio or Facebook. Hopefully you got the radio in the way in the chat room in there, but don't have to be in the chat room to join me. So what do you think? Do you think the Mothman is real? Has anybody? Of course, I always thought the legend of the Mothman is that if you saw those red eyes, it would either make you sick or kill you. Now that's just one theory I've been hearing, but the thing is a lot of people say they see the red eyes or whatever. But I've always thought that the legend of the Mothman is one of the things is if you saw or looked at his red eyes, you'd get deathly sick. But I don't know if that's true or not. But these people apparently didn't get sick. Didn't say they got sick, but you know how that is. A lot of deceptions across that. But anyway, all right. Well, I'd like to thank everybody for joining me on the radio. I know this is a little short segment. Like I said, I'm kind of running late tonight, normal. Tomorrow I will be trying to get on the radio about 7 o'clock and do a show. Don't know. We'll probably start doing the haunted places in the United States like we've always been trying to do and never ever get finished with it. So we always start in one end and we get about a third down and then something comes up and then we have to stop. Then we forget where we're at. So we'll start somewhere tomorrow. And maybe one of these days I'll get to figure this out and have a guest on. I'll figure that out as we go. So I'm just glad the internet's holding out and me doing this. It's kind of a shocker. Anyway, like I said, I figure out stuff and it keeps on going. Well, just guess what? I guess it's almost 14 days till Thanksgiving. Wow. Let's see what it is. 16th. Oh, 11 days to Thanksgiving. Wow. Time is flying. Boy, this year's going quick. All right. Well, anyway. Well, I'm glad everybody has joined me again. I keep saying that, and I'm trying just to get an hour in. Oh, yeah, I'll make some little announcements. I'll take up a little bit of time. Not too much, but a little bit. Okay, give me a drink here. Well, I won't say it on the radio, so. Everybody just follow. Everybody that's watching me on the Facebook, please go to the link, Spreaker. Follow us, like us, get our ratings up, and on the radio, and please pass it along and tell everybody to join us more on this station, Spreaker. So this is Tapping, the Arkansas Paranormal Network, coming to you from Van Buren. We want to thank everybody on the radios, Facebook people. Stay there. I'll be back with you here in a minute. And please join me tomorrow. We'll be talking about haunted places somewhere in the United States or maybe the world. You never know. And it may be coming to your home as well. State. So be with me tomorrow at 7 o'clock p.m. We'll talk to y'all later, and please be safe.